One-ish.
Hello, happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Unsealed. I'm Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, and of course, I am here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. We decided to kick things off a little bit early, kind of just got the equipment set up, and we're ready to roll, so ready to go, right, Steve?
Right.
Yeah, so we decided to go for it. So if you'd like to join our broadcast, you just go ahead and jump right in and drop in any comments or questions, and we're happy to answer any of those. We go live every Sunday. We're mostly Sundays.
Well, not last week.
No, because it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yep, you were with your kids, and then I went down and saw my dad and my brother, and so we did not do a show, and we were just all relaxing. And we're also. I don't really watch the NASCAR race very often, but if Kyle Larson is absolutely kicking their tails, it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Dude's amazing.
Yeah, I would agree. So cheers to Kyle Larson. Speaking of cheers, what are you drinking today, Steve?
Just natural light.
Natural light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a lightweight, and I'm drinking natural light. So
I'm drinking a chelada.
All right.
And it's staying cold in my metal mug here.
There you go. Odds are my beer is not going to stay cold because it's hot as shit out here, actually.
It is really hot. It is.
So if randomly we drop out, it's because everything's overheated.
Yeah, I was really concerned about that. That's why the laptop is on a fan base, and for anybody who's listening later on, and by the way, if you ever catch our show here and you're like, I'd rather just listen to this going down the road, and you like podcasts, you can find us at Racing Insiders Podcast. So you should be able to search that on Spotify or iTunes, any of your podcast places, or you can just catch it on our website, which is racinginsiderspodcast.com.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's our little plug for the day. I see here that Jeremy is joining us, and go ahead and drop in what you guys are drinking and joining us with here. Jeremy's here. He's having Jack Daniel's apple and cranberry juice.
Oh,
that sounds really
that's
good.
An interesting combination.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good. I see Christopher is here from Monterey, California. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. So tell me, Steve, how was your week?
Busy as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've been saying for the last year, busy.
Yeah.
So it's just been a busy week. I mean, I've got so Dylan Brown won that American Crate All-Star Series 10,000 to win race at Beckley last weekend. And, I've got customers obviously in line to get stuff done, but I got to get his stuff back together, that kind of thing. So it's been a busy week.
Well, and it's challenging too. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but the truth
in other words,
is
his motor got torn apart. He was found legal, obviously.
Yeah, and you got to put it back together so you can race.
Get it back together so you can race this coming weekend. So.
Well, and tell us about parts. What's the parts update for you?
It's insane. I mean, I can't get water pumps. I can't get distributors. I can't get. I mean, you name it, I can't get it right now.
Yeah, it's very.
To GM's credit, I can get components, but I can't get engines. So.
Well, components were a problem for you for a while.
Big problem, yeah.
That was really a big challenge there. I see here Brian Littleton is joining us from Race Logic Chassis Schools. Brian says, "Hey guys, exciting things going on with Race Logic. Possible new location for the street stock class, and definitely another crate late model class and more."
Well, that'll be awesome.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting stuff. And, if you're new, well, even if you've been on the show, if you have a street stock, if you have whether it's crate late model, crate late model or street stock, whether it's the Southern street stock version or it's the IMCA street stock, or stock car, I should say, check out racelogic.vip, and we've got classes over there that were just phenomenal this year. And I know we say it over and over again, but you never know if it's going to be the first time somebody's hearing us.
You can do a modcast, a mod class as well.
It's definitely.
Because I think that would be, especially out on the West Coast, I think that'd be a really lucrative deal to do.
Oh, for sure. There's modifieds all over the country.
Not only for the people putting it on, but the people who want to attend it.
Absolutely. I see Mike is here. He's from Sussex, New Jersey.
All right.
Sussex. I like that. Sussex. Yeah. It's like the Royals. What is it? The
Sussex of,
because it's Meghan Markle and
oh good God, I didn't bring them up. What a shit show that is.
It is such a shit show. I mean, talk about lack of gratitude. Oh my God, I'm just a princess. Whatever. All right, we got a tech question here for you, Steve. Clem is asking you, hey, is there any advantage to zero lashing the valves?
No, there's not. Years ago, I mean, that's like kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to throw off anybody that does it, but I mean, it's a bit 1970s technology where we zero lash hydraulic lifter stuff. But nowadays, no, there's not. So that's why we recommend the 3/4 of a turn preload. And that's why GM recommends it as well. So
yeah,
they actually listened to me and said, okay, well, 1/2 to 3/4. So they compromised because it used to be 1/8 to a 1/2.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
and you were, of course, 3/4 turn preload, right?
Correct.
Yeah, excellent. And Terry's got a question. He says, was curious about what type MSD gear are you supposed to use for the 602 crate? Or can you use a different one than the melanized gear?
You can use either a melanized or a cast iron gear. Either one of those.
For the 602.
602.
Because the cam is...
Yeah, 604, you need to use either a melanized or a bronze.
Right.
If you use a cast iron, it'll eat it up instantly. Just the same as if you use a cast iron, or if you've got a cast iron cam, which is what's in a 602, it'll eat up the bronze instantly.
Information. Great. Jeremy asks you, hey, Steve, do you have any availability for dyno time this week?
I do, actually. Yeah.
Give him a call tomorrow.
Yeah, call me tomorrow because I've got like a couple tentatives and one booked on Thursday. So, yeah, give me a shout on Monday tomorrow. So.
Great. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on the...
If not, I know for a fact there's nothing the following week.
So there's the number for Hendren Racing Engines. I've got it on the screen. It is 828-286-0780. That should be so we can call you. Yeah. Too bad it doesn't have more jingle to it. You know, it's like 867-5309 or something. 286-0780. That was terrible.
That was really bad. That was horrible.
So honestly, bad. It was really, really bad. It was bad. Jim's here saying good evening. We have Scott from California. Brad is here, says, what's the frequency on changing valve springs for the 602?
I say every 3 to 4 races, but I mean, I've got guys who go like, 6 to 8. I mean, for the price of valve springs versus, the price of the engine, I would change them 3 to 4 races. I mean, it's just like changing your oil. Every time you change your oil, change your valve springs.
Now, let's go ahead and take the one other thing that we actually changed on these. How often should you change spark plugs?
I would do that every second oil change or every second valve spring change.
Good to know.
Yep.
Good to know. And that would be the same for the 602.
Again, it's just cheap. It's cheap maintenance. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good insurance. See, Jeremy says will do.
Now, I mean, a lot of that depends on the fuel you're using and stuff like that. But I mean, just general rule of thumb. I mean, that's what I go with.
Cool. And Dell is here. Says, hey, y'all. Dell's my friend from the lake. I didn't see him today. I was actually on the lake today. So I actually just took a shower. That's why my hair's wet still. Yeah. I had a fun time. Got my new origami kayak. My new kayak. It folds flat. It's this flat piece of plastic. And then you bend it together and it's like it's origami.
So when you're out there by yourself kayaking, do you literally like run through your head? Do you go stroke?
No, I don't know. Why would I do that?
I don't know, because you're like paddling along, right? So it's like stroke.
I mean, there's a rhythm to it, but I don't have any words that I just go.
I don't know if like that runs through your mind.
Never did.
Because it would run through mine.
No, never. Never. I mean,
just asking. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a kayaker.
When you're racing, were you like left?
Well, yeah, left. That's exactly what you do. How'd you not know that? I mean, it's a no-brainer. There's a wall on the outside, so you got to be like, oh, I need to turn left. Oh shit, I need to do it again. Yeah.
No, I don't do. Well, you remember also, I'm in a kayak by myself with
that's
one single.
That's why I wonder if you're like going stroke.
Well, no, because that's going to be for the those races where you've got like this whole team and you got.
You got the guy on the front of the thing yelling,
rowing.
Yeah, yelling,
the
stroke.
Right.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I didn't know.
No.
Just asking.
No, it's just
you don't have a midget on the front of your boat going stroke.
No, I do not. No, there's nobody in my boat with me. Just me and my boat.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, it's more like you get a rhythm going though. It's like whoosh, whoosh.
Okay.
Whoosh.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but I don't
stroke.
say that in my head though.
You will next time.
No, I won't. No, I can assure you I won't. No, not at all. All right. Speaking of plugs, Jeremy has a question. He says, "What plugs do you like, and what gap for the 602 on 110 fuel?"
Usually 40 thousandths if you're using like an MSD or higher energy type ignition system. If you're using like a crappy HEI, then usually 35. And what was the other part of the question?
What kind of plugs? I can speak to this.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, she knows this by the.
Because the only ones I sell are the ones he likes.
Exactly.
So NGKs, if we can get them, auto lights, if we can get them, and then AC Delcos. Yeah. So I have all three on the website.
And you got the part numbers. You can recite it off the top of your head.
I can. NGK R5724-8s, the Autolite AR94s, or I don't know what the AC Delco one is, but I have a bunch of them.
What the fuck?
I know. It's like a DC something.
Doing your homework.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah. It's a brand new product.
I don't either, so I'm just giving you shit.
It's an AC Delco one.
It's MR43 something.
Yeah. It has a much longer part number.
It's actually a marine plug is what it is, which is the MR code to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to with the ones that Steve told me to put on the website. That's the ones. Just because of the other ones. Have you seen a significant difference in
what it is longevity. I mean, the AC Delcos to me don't last as long as what the NGKs or the Autolites do.
I think we're also looking at a price point difference here too. So the NGKs, it's hard to say what their price is going to be once we can get them again, which we haven't been able to get them for months. But they were 20 something, like 24,
$22 or something like that for a set. Yeah.
The Autolites are 39 is what they just went up to. And then we've got the AC Delcos. Right. We're able to get them with bulk packaging. So we got the price down to under $20. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of nice there. Okay. So Watson Racing is here. Roy is here. Roy Bain. We've been on his podcast. Yep. And Doug is here. Doug says, got a question for Steve. Mm-hmm. Been using a Fram HP4 oil filter, and Joel has an R2C filter, part number 10500-80. Yep. 32 GPM flow, 15 micron filter made for 602 crate. I have a stock block deal. Will this work fine?
Yeah, it will work perfectly fine. I mean, that R2C oil filter back in the day, that's what I used. Yeah. Until they completely... I don't know what the hell they did, honestly. I mean, I got my opinion about R2C, but no, I mean, that filter was produced back then. It's actually a really old filter. It's probably about 4 or 5 years old, but
it was 2017.
Okay. Well, that's 4 or 5 years old.
I'm just saying, I know the date because that's when I sold my house.
I'm just saying, but no, it's a very good filter. I mean, that's probably one of the best oil filters ever made.
Yeah. It's just too bad that we don't know what happened.
No.
All right, Christopher has a question. He says, hey, from Goldsboro, North Carolina, how often does a 602 need to be freshened up?
What I recommend to all my customers always is buy a leak down tester, which would be probably the cheapest thing you'll ever buy in, accordance to figuring out what you've got, with your engine as far as, when it needs to be freshened up. But buy a leak down tester. When you're seeing, cold leak down, when you're seeing above 12 to 14%, it's time to think about freshening it. When you're seeing 20, it's definitely time to freshen it. So I would buy a leak down tester. Compression tester tells you nothing on a hydraulic lifter engine. So I would go with the leak down tester.
And the video that we have on how to do a leak down, I feel like it's a really good video. Yeah, it's one of our older videos. Yeah. But I feel as far the content goes, I feel really good about the
content's content because it never changes. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it either leaks down to this or it leaks down to this.
Well, I mean, as far as like how to use the leak down tester.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And how you're setting the 0 on one, and then how you're seeing the difference and all of that. So I feel
but no, I would recommend buying one of those. And honestly, it's directly proportional to how well you take care of your engine. I'm not naming names. I've got customers that'll run 30 to 40 races on a 602 or a 604 before it needs freshening. And I've got customers that barely get 15 races. So.
And that's mostly because they're letting dirt in the engine. Is that kind of...
primarily. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the killer of most things. I mean, excessive fuel in the oil, dirt getting sucked down the carburetor, that kind of thing. That's what wears them out fast.
Good to know. All right, Terry is here. He says, "Hey guys, I need to do a leak down on a 602. Think rings might be shot. What would the numbers be on leak down? Compression test is 125 all the way around." And that was he probably asked it about the same time that we were answering this question.
Yeah,
I don't preview anything. I just drop it on the screen.
Honestly, compression test means nothing, so it's all about the leak down. I mean, compression test, and the reason I say it means nothing is because on a hydraulic lifter engine, you can have a lifter collapsed. In other words, it's let's say, the valve spring's been open. In other words, peak lift after you shut the engine off, and the lifter is going to bleed down. So once it bleeds down, then essentially when you go to do your leak down test, right? You can have it to where, you go to do your compression test, you can have a lifter bled down. So what happens is that shortens the duration on the camshaft. In other words, it's only opening half the way or halfway. And what does that do? That boosts cylinder pressure. So cylinder pressure is compression or cranking compression. So it'll give you a false positive or a false negative, either way. So the leak down is the only way to go because that tells you where it's going. It's either going, there's two ways it's going to go. Or three ways it's going to go. It's either going to go in the pan, it's going out the exhaust, or it's going up the intake. And you can usually hear it once you're pumping that air in the cylinder. So.
All right. That's a really good explanation there.
I mean,
all right.
Not really because I've been drinking beer, but
it doesn't get because if he's not drinking because if he's not drinking beer, then he's not interested in answering questions.
Well, it's not that. I answer questions every day.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, more colorful. All right, Ryan has a question here. He says, struggling on starts and restarts, running D98 fuel, a 1/16 of an inch carb spacer, NG plugs. What should I do for more torque? Wow, I struggled on that.
What kind of engine?
Yeah, I don't know.
And what is D98? I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I'm not familiar with D98.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it's a 98 octane.
And I know nobody that sells a 1/16 carburetor spacer.
I don't either. I don't know what that would be.
So I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, I think it just depends on your rules. I see he's got a modified in his profile picture here. So he's got a 602 98 octane fuel.
Okay, 98. More torque?
Yeah, he wants more torque.
Well, what are you allowed to run for fuel? Is number one. Okay. Number two, again, I've never heard of a 16th inch carburetor spacer. So if it's a 602, I would go with either that 4-hole spacer that you run, depending on the size of carburetor you've got, or the that one that's split down the middle.
Yeah, and that's when we sell more than anything else, the HVH, and it's a 1-inch spacer, and it's in the description. It talks about it being for a dual intake, dual plane intake manifold.
Right, and I mean, depending on your rules, I mean, fuel picks up torque tremendously, just depending on what you're allowed to use.
Yeah, so a lot of that's gonna be depends.
Generally, like on a lot of our 602 stuff now, we're down to 600 CFM Venturi size carburetors. And we're using that 4-hole that you've got. That 4-hole actually makes better torque and better horsepower with that small diameter Venturi than like the 650s with the one that is split down the middle.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of a
it's the law of unintended consequences.
It's hard to keep up with and hard to get the information out to people to let them know. Is what I'm getting at. Well,
and it's the law of unintended consequences because we make one little change here and it affects everything else down the line. And while this was the best, 5 minutes ago, now that we've changed this thing, now this is the direction we're going to go. Yeah.
It could be second best.
Well, and it also depends on what do your rules say. What do you have to run for a carburetor? I mean, are you running a 4412, but you only got a 2-barrel, or can you run a 4150? Are there any, CFM rules? So there's a lot of that we have to deal with in racing. So there's going to be multiple answers.
Variants, but I mean, and exhaust affects torque. Yeah. So what are you allowed to use for exhaust? I mean, there's so many variables as what affects torque. which is the number one thing I want. I want torque. I don't give two shits about fucking horsepower. I want torque.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Torque wins and loses races. Horsepower does not in these limited horsepower applications.
Yep. Oh, and he's got, okay. So he's got a couple answers. Ryan's got a couple answers to the questions you were asking.
Yep.
Can only run an open spacer, 650 CFM, and kind of open fuel rules. Can use oxygenated. And he's got the 3-inch Bea. Must be for his headers.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking a mod. I mean, the Beas are probably the best ones to use there.
Yeah. If you can use oxygenated fuel, then use oxygenated fuel.
You're stuck around an open spacer, so you're stuck with what you're stuck with. So if you can use oxygenated race gas, that's exactly what I'd be using. Mm-hmm. It costs quite a bit more. So it's going to be, is it worth buying or not worth buying? That's on you. But oxygenated race gas always produces more torque than non-oxygenated.
Good to know.
That being said, you need whoever's building your carburetor, you need to contact them and tell them what fuel you're going to use so they can tell you what to do to your carburetor to actually make it work. Because you're not going to take like a bone stock Holley HP carburetor and say, hey, I'm going to run CHP. It doesn't work.
No.
And you'll be really disappointed, and you're going to think I'm lying to you, telling you, hey, run oxygenated fuel.
You're like, man, this sucks. It's like lagging. It sucks. It's
so
vapor locked. And, yeah.
Then you're going to be like blowing my phone up, yelling at me. Yeah. You gave horrible advice, asshole.
Well, I got another carburetor question. I pretty much know what your answer is, but I want to honor every question that gets, shown. So Timmy says, Team number 22 Motorsports from Illinois here. 10 different answers from 10 different people. What do you recommend setting float levels at? It's a 604 E85 fuel on a late model.
Okay, normally like on our stuff, the carburetors we build, and even David Smith stuff, Willie stuff, Still stuff, all that stuff, we're going about 3/4 of the way up sight class. And then unless you're running something like a what is that, the Super Bowl, the reason we're running it 3/4 of the way up sight glass, cars are like over on their nose like this the entire time. So basically it shuts off the floats at the back if you don't have the fuel way up there. But the disadvantage of that is it'll blow over. So it'll come out the vent tubes, go in the Venturi. So we run a crossover tube from the front to the back vent tube, cut a hole in the top of it so it can still vent. And that cures any mid-corner rich stumble that you'll get because it's blubber and shit over into the Venturis in the corners. But yeah, you need to be 3/4 of the way up sight glass. If you're lower than that, especially on E85, I've run into all sorts of problems on E85 here recently, but normally if you're lower than that, you're going to be starving the motor for fuel, and you're going to get a lean stumble in the middle of the corner. It might take off fine. It might race fine if the car's just not up on that right front and the ass end up in the air, but for the most part, you're going to have a lean stumble in the middle of the corner.
Speaking of ass in the air, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much these cars this year are. That right rear corner is just like way
left rear corner.
No, right rear.
No, left rear, because they're like that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm watching from the stands, and it looks like that they're. Anyway, they're just way jacked. Talk about ass in the air. Like, right. Look at me. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, Nick is here. He says, hey, Steve, are there any advantages to indexing spark plugs on a 602? By the way, no Iowa jokes today.
No, there's not. There's no Iowa jokes today, and there's no advantage to indexing plugs on a 602.
Well, let's talk about that for just a moment, because it's something that you and I have definitely talked about before, because I've gotten the question, or you and I have discussed it. And in fact, there can be an error for the people who do try to index. So first of all, talk about why we don't need to index spark plugs.
Well, number one, a lot of times when people index spark plugs, they have indexing washers. So as you're using a washer, a lot of people use washers to index a plug. In other words, if the plug's at 6 o'clock, they'll put a washer in there to make it at 12 o'clock as far as the electrode goes, right? So, but when you're doing that, you're backing the spark plug and the electrode out of the combustion chamber. And when you do that, you're actually retarding ignition timing on that cylinder.
Wow.
So no, we don't want to do that. So when you use a indexing washer, that's 100% no good. If you want to index your plugs because it makes you feel better and you think you'll get more power, then you have about 8 sets of plugs and index every one for every cylinder with no washers.
Well,
but I'm going to tell you right now, it makes no difference because I've tried it. I've dynoed it. I've done everything, and it makes zero difference on this application.
Well, haven't you told me before too that like on a super late model engine or super engine, you absolutely have to
something where you have very close tolerance between the electrode and the piston, then yes, you need to index your plugs. And yes, there obviously is going to be an advantage or disadvantage of doing that. But on these engines here, I've not seen one piece of evidence that will tell me that it's worth even 1 horsepower.
And there's also a mistake people can make too. Talk about Sharpies and indexing plugs.
Yeah, a lot of people they'll use like black. I mean, the most common thing you'll find is going to be a black felt tip marker pen, and a lot of people, will, where the electrode. Let's say this cigarette is a spark plug, and here's the electrode. They'll take a black Sharpie and run it down there, so when they index it, they can see where it is in the clock position. Well, then they never erase that black Sharpie off of there. And they put their spark plug boot on it, and black Sharpie is carbon black. So what does carbon do? It conducts electricity. And what happens? You can actually see these things at night, and you can try it in your own garage because you can just mark the shit out of a spark plug in black, turn all the lights out, light the engine up, and you'll actually see spark firing down the carbon black. So you can use red, you can use blue, you can use green. Whatever other green. It doesn't make two shits. Don't use black. Or if you do use black, wipe it off when you're done. So.
I just found that fascinating when you were telling me about that one day, and I'm sure we were going to save some sparks out there for that. Definitely. All right. William says, hello, engine still available? Engine still available?
No.
Mm-mm. We don't have engines.
Not right now. Matter of fact, I called Newsom the other day, and this would have been probably, I think I talked to him like Thursday or Friday, and they're waiting on.
Yeah, we're all waiting.
So
waiting on more. All right, Terry says, will E85 foul your plugs if the plugs are gapped too big or gapped too small? It's a good question.
I mean, I really haven't seen that as the case. It's more so ignition timing than what it is plug gap. I mean, obviously you don't want to be running, 20 thousandths plug gap with a freaking, whatever. What do you call it? Magneto.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So you don't. You don't want to do that. But I mean, sprint cars do it with alcohol, with magnetos. So there's no at 25 thousandths gap. So it's never really gap that I see as the problem. It's more so ignition timing. As an example, like my kid's car where we're experimenting around with the programmable ignition box and, E85, we're running basically methanol air fuel ratios at low RPM, but we've got like 42 degrees of timing because the thing won't run at 34. Literally it won't run. So we've got 42 degrees, and then we're like bringing the timing back.
Holy hell, 42.
Correct, as we're getting up in the RPM range. But it's more ignition timing than I think it is spark plug gap. Spark plug gap is normally how powerful your ignition system is. So, like if you're running a magneto, which just barely puts out enough shit to actually fire an engine, then you need that short gap, that small gap, in order to actually make the spark plug connect the electricity between the electrode and the whatever the fuck you call it. But at any rate, normally it's like the power of your ignition system. So, years and years and years ago, back when we were running methanol out in California, and we thought MSD was the greatest thing known to man because we had an MSD display in our shop, and you could fire a gap like that big with this MSD display and all that stuff. We're like,
yeah,
fuck yeah, we got to run like 55,000 spark plug gap because that's making us power. Well, back then we thought it was. Nowadays we realize it really wasn't, because that just tacks over overloads your ignition system. Honestly. I mean,
Oh wow!
I don't know.
It's again law of unintended consequences.
Well, I mean, one of the people I learned this from was Nelson Specialist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And once he explained it to me, and I'm talking like this was like probably 10 years ago. And once he explained it to me, I was like, oh fuck, Nelson's right.
Oh yeah.
So we need to like start bringing this gap back because these ignition systems aren't all they're supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Pat's here. Yep. And she says, hi, guys. Have a great show. Now, you took Pat to her first race ever.
She went to her very first race last night to watch Alex race. Of course, Alex got wrecked by a fucking lapped idiot that didn't know which way it was. But at any rate, she still got to go.
That was great. Okay, Timmy says, hey, Stealth Carb, do you like setting them with car sitting level? We did put event hose on it, like you mentioned. It seemed to help with our stumble, so thanks.
Well, it will if you're running like a really high float level. Yeah, I mean, level is where you want it. I mean, within reason. I mean, some engines are tilted in cars. I mean, I know CVR to me are like the only ones building a race car that actually have the engine sitting in the car the right way, which is tilted to the left and slanted back, because then when it's on the track, it's level.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as level as you can get the car better, or as level as you can get it to where the car's at attitude on the racetrack.
Okay. Next question is from Jeremy. He says, is a CT525 a viable option for local show super racing, or would it be best to just buy a Clements or another built supermoto?
To me, it depends on where you're racing. I mean, if you're racing, I mean, I've got guys racing 604s against supers in Nebraska, for instance,
Illinois too,
and winning.
Yeah.
So it depends entirely on where you're racing. I mean, if you're going to be racing Gaffney, South Carolina, I mean, Cherokee Speedway, no, absolutely, you're not going to compete. It's not even close. If you're going to be racing, I don't know, Sonoa in Georgia, then yeah, I'd say a 525 would be a viable option. But, it depends on the racetrack. I mean, I remember 6, 7, 8 years ago, Ronnie Johnson winning multiple 10,000 win super races with his 525 down in Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and places like that. So it just depends on where you're racing.
I would say that about a lot of different things.
Personally, of course, I'm a cheap ass, but to me personally, if I'm weekly racing someplace, and what my choices are is a $7,500 engine versus a $50,000 engine, I'm either going to choose a different place to race.
And you're racing for $1,200 or whatever.
And you're racing for, $2,000 or $1,200 on a weekend. I'm either going to choose a different place to race, or I'm going to buy the $7,500 engine and just try it out. Because you're not out nothing at that point. If you got the money to spend the $55,000, you got $7,500 to go try it out.
Yeah.
So
great.
It's my opinion.
So tell us about what's in front of you. I know people can't see it, but
well, you tell me, because you're the one that bought them.
Well, I have been checking out this website called Podmatch, and on Podmatch you can be it's where podcasters can go and kind of get connected with people they'd want to interview and stuff. So I've been on there to just maybe be interviewed on other podcasts. Well, I noticed one match was a person who invented these, and they're called pod decks. So the idea is that as a podcaster, it's
basically like a deck of cards.
It's a deck of cards here. And
like
on this deck of cards, and they're themed. And this way, instead of like running out of questions to ask, your guest, if you're an interviewer, then these are kind of a cheat sheet to that. Right. So, go ahead and pick a card here, Steve.
Well, we're going to pick two. Is kind of what we pre-agreed upon. So I'm going to pick one. I'm going to pick the two I'm going to ask you, and you're going to pick the two that you're going to ask me.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to ask you that one.
And I'm going to ask you that one.
Ask you probably that one right there.
And this deck is themed what the heck?
And you have to answer it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right,
so none of this is presupposed. We haven't even been
ladies
through
first.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you. Oh, hey, Steve, how fast can you say the alphabet?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Well, hang on. I feel like I need a timer here. I'm going
to say one word a second, or one letter a second. So that's like 26 seconds.
I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to push my stopwatch. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, start. I'm already starting.
Oh, well, you said you were going to say that, and then you didn't fucking say it.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1, go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, R, Y, Z. That
was 4.91 seconds.
All right.
I feel like that's really good. Yeah. I feel like that's good. All right. What question do you have for me?
If you could have anything named after you, what would you want it to be?
Gosh. The Kate Dillon something. Huh. You know what? I think I'd want an opera house.
An opera house. Yeah, you do like opera house.
I do. That's what I'd be. The Kate Dillon opera house.
Yeah, okay.
All right, next up. God, swear to God, this was not rigged. Steve, have you ever been electrocuted? Okay, I do know the answer to this question.
I have not.
Yes, you have.
When?
On your mom's fence with the dogs.
Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. God, that's right. I was like thinking about getting hit with like MST boxes, where like, you're setting the timing, you hit the coil, positive, negative. No. Yeah, my mom's two dogs got in a freaking major rager fight. And I ripped the one dog off the other dog while my brother was trying to separate the other dog. And then while I was holding her in my hands, I backed into my mom's electric fence and shocked the living shit out of the dog and me.
Yes.
And then she proceeded to bite the fuck. That's all these scars on my hands. She proceeded to like bite the fuck out of me.
And that scared you. And then you ran into the fence again.
Well, yeah. And then it was like, oh my God, I'm getting bit. And then I still had her in my arms because I couldn't let her go. And then I backed into the fence again and electrocuted both of us again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't electrocuted.
I know. But it's like
you're getting ripped up by however much the voltage is. And yeah, it was not pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, my turn?
Yep.
If you could sing a duet with anyone, who would it be?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like I'm not that good of a singer. So
I want to know what love is.
I want you to show me. Gosh, who would I sing a duet with? Huh. I mean, of course, it's like an alive or dead situation, too.
Well, there's that. I mean, it's said anyone. You can say alive or dead. It's said anyone.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah, so I guess it could be, Gosh. You know what? I think it'd be Kurt Cobain. Because I think that'd be really cool.
What are you going to sing? Smells Like Teen Spirit?
No, I mean, I'm thinking like My Girl. That'd be a good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there'd be a way you can turn that into a duet.
So here's the next card thing. This is Would You Rather.
This is gonna be dangerous. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pick a couple for you, and all right.
So then I'm gonna pick my own. So
yep.
I'm gonna go with that one. This is shit I'm asking you, right?
Yep.
And I'll just randomly go that one. All
right. So I went first last time, so you go first this time.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Would you rather get a shoulder massage or a foot massage?
I'm gonna go shoulder massage.
Well, that was fucking easy.
That was easy. All right.
Disappointing.
Okay. Well, no. Would you rather be covered in bees or spiders?
Bees. 1000% bees.
Aren't you like allergic to bee stings though?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
But I know you're
scared. I'm allergic to chiggers, but I'm not allergic to bee stings.
Oh my God. And he will get out a gun and shoot a spider.
Yeah, I fucking hate spiders.
All right, what's the other one?
It's like the worst critter ever made. Would you rather spend the night in a dumpster or a porta potty?
Oh my God, that's really a race to the bottom right there. Wow. I think it depends, I mean, if it's a brand new porta potty, no, I don't know, probably dumpster.
Really?
It's hard to say.
There's flies in dumpsters.
I know, but it depends. I mean, if it's this porta potty
you can whack out the flies in the porta john.
Well, I'm also thinking about how much room there's in there.
Oh yeah.
And it depends. Is the porta potty brand new? I can deal with that. But has it been sitting in the hot sun, almost full?
I don't know.
For a month?
It's just a fucking question. What are you gonna do?
I know. I mean, I'd probably go with dumpster. I'm gonna go dumpster.
All right, so you're a dumpster diver.
I am. All right. And this one's kind of lame. Would you rather have deep dish pizza or thin crust pizza?
Well, thin crust, obviously.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were a deep dish guy.
No, absolutely not.
Because, I mean, I'm thin crust.
Yeah, I like thin crust.
Huh. Huh. Okay.
All right, last deck.
Last deck. This is the interview deck.
This is marked interview deck. So
Yeah.
this might be
insightful questions here. So you can grab a couple for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, these are going to be like serious.
This one and maybe that one.
All right, these are going to be like
These are serious questions.
Yeah, I think they are because I'm
All
just looking at one of these.
So you got to go first now.
Okay. So you have to ask me the question.
No,
right?
you have to ask me the question.
Okay.
First.
So Steve, who are your heroes in real life?
In real life?
Mm-hmm. It's so funny when we could like answer each other's questions for each other. Because I know one of them would be I know one of your heroes.
My number one hero is Bobby Allison.
Okay, well then I know your other number one hero.
Who?
Your dad.
Well, I mean, no, but I mean, obviously, I mean that's no brainer. I mean, I'm talking like heroes other than your parental figures is what I'm going at.
Okay.
So like people who Yeah. So Bobby Allison and yeah, that's it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what do you have?
Like ultimate.
Yeah.
That's what I was going like. Who drove you to do certain things in your life? All right, you. What's the favorite thing you've ever? Wait, what's the favorite thing you've bought this year?
My new origami kayak.
Oh my god!
I'm telling you, I like it a lot. I know I bought a lot of stuff this year.
Why do I keep giving you the lame fucking questions?
I don't know, but that's what I'm going with because it's what the most recent. All right. If you can instantly become one, what would you want to be an expert in?
Porn. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
a porn expert?
A porn expert. Or I don't know. Other than the funny question or funny answer, guitar playing.
Oh, good one.
You know, some of my favorite people around or used to be around are like guitar players.
For sure.
I would love to be a Hendrix. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, then the whole porn thing would come into play too. So just saying.
Wow.
Okay. Brag to me about the best things going on in the past 30 days.
Well, I have a new warehouse. There's that. It's probably the most thing I have to brag about. It's kind of a big deal.
God, you got like all the lame fucking questions.
I know. I have a new Airbnb.
I'm going to ask you another one. I'm going to randomly pick another one. Because you got like the lame ones. If you had to delete about 3 apps from your
all
smartphone.
But 3, right?
Yeah. If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which one would you keep?
Oh, right now.
That's really hard because you got like 5 pages of apps on your smartphone.
So many. Well, and you know,
I'm going to go with Pokemon Go would be number 1 to go.
No. This is the ones, but I only get to keep 3 apps.
That's what I'm getting at.
So I have to think about what is an app versus being on a computer. Well, so I'd have to keep my Pokemon Go because I'm a level 29 Pokemon trainer now. 20 days in.
I'm gonna do one more just for the fuck of it. All right. This is like
I'm gonna need a photo app, and I need a photo app, and I need text messaging.
What would be the absolute worst name you could give your child?
You know what
I know.
You know, like there's like an elephant. You know, like don't think of the white elephant, and I'm totally thinking of like the white elephant. You know, I would say, should I just go for it because it's the only one I think of? I'd say Cain, since he's the first murderer of the first 2 children in the Bible, and he's the first murderer. I think it's about the worst name you can give your kid.
Yeah,
that's my. Yeah, I think you're really setting him up for. A bad thing.
All right, that was kind of fun.
That was really fun. And now we got some more questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron's here. He says, hello, Steve and Kate. I've had a lot of people reach out and wish me a happy birthday yesterday. Happy birthday from me, Cameron. Yeah. I just haven't really been on social media.
I haven't been on Facebook.
And not the results of the racetrack that we were looking for, but that's what they call racing. Chris and I are so grateful for the help from Crate Insider. And Steve, all the great info. Thank you. Happy Sunday.
Yep.
That's great. And Cody has a question. He says, hey, Steve, horsepower difference between an out-of-the-box 602 versus a blueprinted 602. Is it more for a performance advantage or more for reliability to have them blueprinted? Would you like me to grab? Got another drink.
I'll have another beer, yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, like on 602s, normally we don't blueprint the entire engine out of the box because I haven't found it to be cost effective. Price of the engine versus what it costs to actually do it. 604 is a totally different story, but like back to your 602, what I found is the primary power loss in 602s is going to be the top end. So in other words, on 602s, you're using just a stock production Vortec head from GM. And, in a perfect world, when they actually have 45-degree angle valve seats on them, which we ran into a rash of that shit that didn't a couple of years ago. But when they actually do, you're talking heads that have been induction hardened from GM. So you've got exhaust seats that have been induction hardened. They don't do that before they do the valve job. They do it after they do the valve job. And what that means is it warps up that exhaust seat and it warps up the adjacent intake seat or part of it. So when that happens, obviously you've got air leaking there, for lack of a better term, and that costs you power. So what we'll normally do on 602s, and most will do normally, if somebody wants to blueprint one, I'll blueprint it for them. I'll take your money no matter what. But normally what I suggest is we just do the top end. And when we do that, we fix that inherent issue with them that I have found to be the inherent issue and, put it back together, reseal it. And that's what's going to gain you the most power. Now, power wise, between the two, I don't waste my time dynoing new engines because I already know that they're, not the greatest in the world. So I don't waste my time doing that. So I can't give you an exact number. But what I can tell you is like 2 years ago, again, when whoever was doing GM's heads for them did not have 45-degree angles on the intake valve seats, and you had a 30 and a 60, there's probably about 15 to 20 horsepower worth of difference between one that was fixed versus one that came out of the box. I don't think it's that way now. What I can say for GM is they're whoever their third-party manufacturer is, it's like finishing their heads is doing a much better job.
That's good.
So I don't think it's that much now. It could be 5, it could be 3, it could be nothing. Mm-hmm. It just depends on how good it's done out of the box from GM. But what we're doing is what GM can't do and make them all equal.
Yep. All right. Here's another great question. Today is like spark plug day. I think that's a really good topic.
And I'm not a spark plug expert by any means. I'll just tell you that.
No, but you work on them a lot. I think this is a really good question. Darren asks, on a 602 crate, should you use anti-seize on the plugs, or does it cause a grounding issue?
I've seen that where people say it causes grounding issues.
Do you use anti-seize when you're installing plugs?
I don't. I don't. Especially on 602s. 604s, because it's aluminum head, if we use any at all, it's very minute amount. We don't gob it on there. I think where you run into grounding issues is if somebody's like gobbing the shit on the spark plug. In a cast iron head, there's no reason to use anti-seize. None whatsoever. So I would not.
Now, anti-seize, that's generally used so you can take it out again.
Yeah,
right? So
it's usually when you got steel on aluminum or something like that. So.
That they could potentially fuse together, and that could be a problem later on.
It galls, and then you rip the spark plug threads out of the head when you pull them out or something like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, here's another one. Terry says, what is the difference between plugs being wet or dry, black colored?
You're talking like, all right. So the
on 60285,
you pull the plug out and it's black.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, I've had this question a bunch this week actually, and not necessarily the way you're asking it, but like one of the main questions I get from week to week is, hey, I pulled my spark plugs out and they're black. That's got to mean I'm too rich. No, it doesn't. Okay. Because in order on these engines, in order to get them to take off, starts, restarts, stuff like that, your idle circuit is extremely fat. We're talking like it's going to black the plugs up, sit the plugs up, wet them up, everything else. The only way to actually truly read a plug in that scenario is if you're on the racetrack, you're at full throttle and you go bang and flip the switch, and shut the ignition off, and then you coast in, and then somebody reads the plug, where you shut the ignition off at full throttle. So I would not be concerned about anything that's black by any means.
Well, I think you've mentioned before, like you've known somebody that could just read plugs like it was just
yeah. Well, my dad was one of those people. But you can't read a plug that, all right, you go out and you hot lap and you're full throttle around the racetrack, and then you shut it down, and then you idle around the track, and then you idle into the pits, and you idle to the pit area, and then you rev it up a couple times, you shut it off. You can't read a plug. It's a total waste of time. So, and anybody that tells you they can is a complete and total fucking liar. So, I mean, there's no...
Or we will invite them on the show, and they can...
Oh, they can tell me how they do it after it's idled for, however long. And then tell me how you can actually make the thing take off on a start or restart, with it being light brown.
Yeah, well, I think those are the only colors, right? It's like light brown or black.
Oh, yeah, everybody's going to see light brown plugs.
I mean, can you...
And I ain't throwing off on him by any means.
No, I know. I don't think you are.
I'm not. I'm just saying there's no... And I get this question a lot, but you just cannot read a plug that way. So...
It's not really meaning much. Like we're assigning
it means nothing.
Some people are trying to assign meaning to something that really is meaningless.
That really means nothing.
Now, can you look at your plugs and know that it's time to change them?
Yeah. Essentially, you're looking at the electrode, and when you start seeing the electrode, the square part of the electrode starting to round off, stuff like that, then it's time to change plugs. Which is why, again, spark plugs are cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Spark plugs are cheap. Oil is cheap. Valve springs are cheap. Like super cheap. Change that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care whether you change it every 4 races or every 10. Just change it. Because the engine's the most expensive part.
Yeah.
That's that whole combination.
Trying to preserve. Well, I had a good question this week. A person was picking up an engine, and, brand new in the box, 602. And of course, this is like on Friday, and they're wanting to get it ready to race on Saturday. So they asked me about what kind of oil to put in it for, to get it ready for the weekend.
Right.
And obviously at that point, if it's Friday and they're 2 days away shipping, I mean, there's nothing that I can do for them at that point, other than just to provide them with any advice of what they could buy from like their local Napa Auto Parts store. So my response was, make sure whatever you do, don't put a full synthetic oil in it. But what would you say? Would you have said like just use your basic like Mobil 1 kind of stuff?
Well, no, I mean, you're correct. I mean, because full synthetic is a little bit harder to seat rings with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what you advised was not ill-advised. So
good. That's good. Or you'll tell me later. No, you would call me out on the show.
No, I would.
Well, because we don't want people making mistakes, especially that are going to cost them on horsepower or anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, and do you have a particular break-in procedure that you recommend for people to use especially with a 602?
I mean, 602 is like a little bit different than 604. 604 is like there's essentially no break-in other than seating the rings. 602, you got to break the cam in and seat the rings. So generally I'm breaking the cam in. Yeah, when you first start one up, I mean, don't let it sit there and lopey idle at 800 RPM. I mean, vary the RPM from normally I recommend 1500 to 2500 RPM for like, 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Get it up to operating temperature. And then by that time, the cam's usually broken.
Wow. See, it sounds like you could even do that in the shop without even having to.
Well, you can do that. You still can't seat the rings until the engine's under load.
Oh, okay.
So you have to load the engine to get.
So you really do. I mean, you have to get out there at least for a practice session or
chassis dyno or engine dyno or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's just some great information. It's just a great information that can be very useful to anybody buying a new engine, which happens. We have a lot of people.
More often than us blueprinting them, it happens quite a bit where people buy brand new engines, bolt them in, go race. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Oh, okay. Here's Terry's got a question. He says, I'm trying to figure out what it is with my 602. Are my rings bad? Is the carb not right, or is it my timing? But I'm going to do a leak down tomorrow.
Yeah, do the leak down test, because I mean that'll either confirm the engine or eliminate the engine from being part of your issue that you have.
Yeah, and there's a lot of components that go in to the this whole package of what is reaching the rear tires. It's not just engine. It's not just one component. It's a combination of of
no, but
all the things.
what he's referring to, yeah, that'll eliminate the engine or confirm that you've got an issue with the engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Anything you're looking forward to this week, Steve?
4th of July.
That's right. It is 4th of July. Yep. When is it?
On Sunday.
It's on Sunday.
Yeah, which is kind of a shit day. We might actually take Monday off just because.
I'm going to have to pick one of the days.
It's 4th of July. It's 4th of July and New Year's are my two favorite holidays. And, hell, I might not want to show up on Monday.
Do you maybe want to do some, bring out some garbage bags and.
Blow shit up?
Acetylene bomb?
Acetylene and oxygen bombs, yeah.
Oh my God, that was so fun.
Don't get yourself kicked off of fucking YouTube.
I know. Don't want to. I know. Oh my gosh, you're the voice of reason for a moment. Yeah, I think I'll talk to my people and see which one they would prefer. If Tori and Curtis Lake would like to have Friday off or Monday off.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and just make that decision.
Yeah. I'd rather have Monday off, just because again, the 4th of July is the 4th of July. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and there should be a day
literally
off
like
there.
It's literally my favorite holiday. So
yeah, good deal. Oh, and Rose is here. She says, "Kate, thank you for the hat." So Rosa won a hat on one of my Top 5 Tuesdays.
Oh, nice.
I was a total slacker and did not do Top 5 Tuesday this week. Ooh, Mike is here. He says, "Steve, Tannerite blows stuff up like crazy." Steve.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh my gosh, I've seen some of those YouTube videos. What was the one where like the guy?
When he blew his fridge up and about took his head off, that one?
I thought it was a lawnmower or something, but there was like...
Well, yeah, it come flying by his head. Yeah, there's several of those. Crazy
talk.
Yeah, Tannerite would be fun. But there's to me, honestly, there's nothing more fun than the acetylene and oxygen bomb.
Well, and that's something...
Because, like, a little freaking balloon about that big around sounds like a stick of dynamite.
Right. And it's not as destructive. It just makes a lot of noise.
No. I mean, there's no energy displaced when it blows up. But, I mean, you can stand right next to it. It's not going to hurt you. But just the sound it makes, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's loud. And you learned that from your dad, so it goes back to
that
and like doing it with welding. It's welding gas, right?
Well, it's torch, acetylene oxygen, like what you torch, flame cut something with.
Oh, okay, cool. Any other fun projects you got going on?
Nope. No, nothing. That's about it.
Sometimes nothing is a good thing. Like when you're way overbooked and stuff.
We'll ask you another question though, just for the fuck of it.
Oh, okay. This is a would you rather question.
Random. Would
you
rather?
That looks like a lot of words.
Would you rather be handcuffed to the most annoying person you know for 24 hours, or go camping with someone who likes you but you don't like back?
Golly gee. So which method of torture? Okay, how long is the handcuffing thing? For a whole day?
It said 24 hours.
And then how long? And then camping for the whole weekend?
It just says camping.
Gosh, I'm going to have to go with camping.
We'll assume it's 24 hours.
Okay. Camping would be better than the handcuffing thing.
Right.
So at least I can maybe escape and go to the restroom or something.
You can feed them to a bear or club them in the head while they're asleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a girl, so I have a lifetime of friend zoning people.
Oh, there's that.
So I have a lot more experience, but
right.
Yeah, I try not to be violent.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm going to would you rather you then too.
All right.
Oh, all right. Would you rather blow your nose with sandpaper or use bubble wrap instead of toilet paper?
Bubble wrap. 1,000%. I think it'd be fucking awesome.
Bubble wrap.
Can you imagine how good that'd feel? I'm going to actually try that tonight. I'm going to stop on the way home, go to the shop, get the freaking bubble wrap, and I will let you know tomorrow how well that shit works. Now, I'm not going to flush it because I got a septic tank.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I might throw it outside or something, but I'm going to try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You'll have to report back.
That's fucking awesome.
But it's funny. Would you rather blow your nose with sandpaper? Well, after you've blown when you've got like a cold or sinus infection, you blow your nose with 500 times.
100%.
It feels like the most soft Kleenex is actually sandpaper.
Can you imagine like little AirPods in your asshole? That'd feel fucking great.
Yeah.
And every now and again they go pop. Oh, it'd be awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I'm gonna stick with my bidet.
That's just fucking gross.
What do you mean? It's like a little shower for your butt.
It's gross.
What's
you still have to dry it.
Well, yeah, but you're just drying water. Yes. Oh, okay. We're back to serious questions now. Rosa has a question, and she says, "Tire temp. Is it as important with an open motor as a crate?"
Well, tire temperature is always important, no matter what. Because every tire, depending on the compound it is and the material it's made out of, has an optimum tire temperature range. So yeah, I mean, tire temp is always important.
Yeah. Oh, did you happen to see that I got a note from Buck from Daytona 1? There's a series that started in the Midwest where they've got like I don't know if it's the supers or whatever, but when they buy new tires, but then they take them and bring them on down and sell them to the next class.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can treat them with the Grip Bite product.
Oh, okay.
And so it's basically the takeoffs.
Well, good.
And they're saving a lot of money, and they've got a whole series that's built around that.
It's going to be all about saving money here before long.
Well, after a while, it's going to be, either you have tires or you don't have tires.
Exactly.
And either you can have a race or you can't have a race. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm tired of the shortages, but there's no end in sight.
No.
There's just no end in sight.
No, not until these dumb fucks stop paying people to sit on their asses. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
There's that.
Jim has a question. Does Steve like it when people just stop at his shop, or would he rather they leave him alone through the week?
No, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, people can come in, and I mean, that's why the doors are open, the lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got no problem with that.
No, you're probably not going to sit around and just jibber jabber.
No, I don't want to sit around and talk for an hour and a half about, I don't know, days gone by or anything like that. But, I've got no problem sitting there talking to people about, any serious question or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I'm in the middle of putting an engine together and my brother's out there, my brother will sit there and talk to somebody. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, I mean, just as long as we're not sitting there going, well, my granddaddy's granddaddy owned a 1949 Ford pickup truck and he hauled moonshine. And I'm like, at that point, I'm just going, get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God. We have people coming by with my new warehouse because I haven't changed the signs yet. And it still says 221 Express because it was an oil change place. So people can clearly tell, since there's shelving over the top of where you would drive in, it's clearly not an oil change place anymore.
It's still an oil change place.
Yeah, not at all. But we'll have I call them randos. So random people.
Yeah.
Don't have race cars. Just are curious because we live in a small town.
Yeah.
And those come in and just start talking.
Well, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, we've had people come by where like Alex has had his race car outside and, just random people, I mean, that have nothing to do with anything that they're not coming in there like, they don't need an engine. They're just coming there. Oh, I saw a race car. And we don't mind that. I mean, that doesn't bother me. I mean, these people don't know any better and stuff like that. And they just want to, hey, can my kid get a picture with the race car? Yeah. Stuff like that. Oh,
that'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah. That shit doesn't bother me. It's just what bothers me again is like the guy, who comes in and is like, oh, you build race engines? Well, I got a 1954 Chevy pickup truck. It was like, oh well, fucking congratulations.
Oh, you guys have spark plugs? Oh man, I've got a Hemi, and keep in mind we only sell Chevy things.
Oh, I was at one of my favorite restaurants here a couple weeks ago, and I come walking in, and like this dude's sitting there with another friend of mine I know, and she's like, oh yeah, this is my friend Steve, and I work for him every now and again. This is like Jennifer, and I work for him every now and again and sweep up and come in and do stuff on the side. And he's like, I've got a 1976 Ford Bronco. I'm like, dude, I don't work on street cars. I have no idea what you're talking about. I do, but I just didn't even want to even start the conversation because I knew where it was leading. He's like, no, but it's got a 390 in it. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, man. Obviously I do, but I'm just like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's so
I build race engines.
That's so cool.
No, and that's what he was looking for. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So he probably thought I was a douche or a total hack that didn't know what a 390 Ford was.
Man, I saw this engine builder and he didn't even know what a 390 Ford
was. Got no clue what FE means.
Oh, Terry says, on the leak down test, do you want to do it cold or with the engine warm?
You can do it cold or warm. Ideally, the best way to do it's warm. But I mean, you can do it cold as well. Like I said, I don't know if you heard earlier, but like on a cold leak down, 12-14% is not that out of the ordinary. I mean, you get up towards 20, it's time to freshen one. Warm leak down, you want to be under 10%.
That's some really good data to have right there, that there's going to be a difference between cold or warm. Yeah. That's great.
Well, normally, I mean, cold, not everything expanded and, temperature and everything else.
No, it absolutely makes sense. It's a fabulous question. And just the way you answered it is just that you're going to have different parameters depending on how it's done. Well, I mean, I know when we did like our leak down test video, we were doing it using an engine just sitting on the stand. So clearly we're leaking it down cold for the video.
Which you can do. I mean, like I said, it's not a big deal. But.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you leak down at each and every cylinder?
Yes.
Okay. And that way you can know that like cylinder 1 is the one that's failing.
Cylinder 1's 3% and cylinder 2 or cylinder 5 is or 3 is like, I don't know, 8%. And then, you just go down the line.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, I think my drink's about gone and yours is about gone. And we're right at about an hour.
All right.
You have another question
Perfect.
for me?
I'm going to do another question.
Okay.
From the...
What the heck?
What the heck? Deck. Has anyone started a rumor about you? If so, what was it about?
I don't pay attention to any rumors now, but I can remember being out when I was like in middle school. And I can remember that people would just always start rumors about me. Not always, but especially.
Why? Because you had the biggest boobs in the class?
That's exactly it. That's where I was trying to go there, but not go there. But yeah, that's exactly it. And it was like, oh, she's a slut. I was a slut before I never even kissed a boy.
You were like an automatic whore because you had big boobs.
Exactly. That's the legacy of my lifetime for sure. Yeah. There's a lot, but then of course my disadvantage is my advantage and all of that. But yeah, people have definitely started rumors about me. Ooh. What's the most embarrassing or worst thing your parents ever caught you doing?
Banging my girlfriend in their living room. My mom caught me.
Wow. How did that go?
That was like, she didn't confront me. It was like, oh my God. And then I could hear her down at the other end of the house yelling at my dad because my dad's asleep. And yelling at my dad, they're like, you won't believe what they're doing down there.
Oh, so I guess, what do we want to say about pod decks? I think we want to give them a thumbs up.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is pod decks. I think it was CrateInsider.com.
Yeah.
So any other podcasters or I have no reason to be promoting these other than we're just trying them out.
We might have to like randomly ask questions again in the near future.
Yeah. Because we got a whole deck of each of these categories.
I'm going to put them away now though.
Okay. You're going to put them away.
That last question. Whew.
Yeah. It just brought back the memories.
It did actually.
I'm going to have to ask your mom about that.
It was a good time. Just saying.
Is that one of those moments, like, were you done when you realized your mom had discovered you, or were you like, I finished. Okay.
Not with her in the room, though, because that'd be fucking weird.
Oh, my God. That is hilarious.
No, back then, the shit didn't go down. It was like when you were caught doing something stupid. So it was like, got to do something with this.
Yeah. Here we go. Wow. I think that's on that note, I think it's about time to wrap up the show.
It probably is. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
before it gets much deeper in.
Deeper. Anyway.
Sexual activities.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And if you want to catch us on the podcast end, we'd love for you to leave a review over on iTunes. You can find us at Racing Insiders Podcast.
Describe your sense of humor in one word. Just one last one.
Dry.
All right, there you
go. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And we will look forward to being back here next week with another edition of Unsealed. I hope you guys have a great week. And we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.